Hi, my name's Lara. Welcome to my channel, Inner Goddess Guidance. This is a place for people who are doing the work of self-healing to achieve self-mastery. I myself am a divine feminine on the twin flame path, and I created this as a part of my mission. I'm combining my experiences as a teacher, a personal coach, and my own personal experiences in my healing over the past 2 years. And I am hoping that I can present you with some tips and tools and things that you might find helpful in your own journey. I believe each one of us is different, and that we can use some of the same tools, but we apply them, of course, with our own flair, and that everybody is on their own path to healing, and it's best that you claim responsibility for that yourself. So I'm not an expert. I'm just a scholar, and I love to delve deep, and I have taken this journey in my own healing very seriously for the past 2 years, and in the twin flame journey very seriously for the past 6 to 8 months. And so today I want to talk about water. Yep, water. So it's interesting because yesterday I did this video. I actually woke up in the morning. I had 2 signs that I was to talk about water. And then my day took an interesting course, like a river. It didn't go it didn't go straight. It didn't flow the way I wanted it to. And it was interesting because I went about my day, and then it took an interesting course. I had to literally turn around in my car and come home. And as I did that, I thought, well, that just opens up new opportunities today. And when I came home, I started working on the video, and then I got a call in the middle of the video, and an emergency had come up for a friend, and I went to take care of that. And again, I thought, well, my day is taking an interesting course. That's not what I intended. Again, the river sort of met a bend, and I had to flow with it. And I was thinking throughout my day, well, I'm going with the flow. It happened to be in the afternoon as I was coming back from this errand I was running for a friend, and I was stuck in traffic. And then I was aware of the traffic flow, and how when things get stuck, we feel like we want to move. We're not moving as fast as we want. And I'm just constantly making connections between what's happening in my real life, even in traffic, and how that's sort of a metaphor for what's happening for me in a bigger way in my life, and especially when it comes to the twin flame journey. So I got home, and I tried to make the video, and I recorded the entire thing. And again, it just didn't go the way that I'd expected. I got real tired. When I was playing back the video, I recognized that the video and the audio ended up out of sync during a portion of it. And I just thought, this isn't happening today for me. And so I let it go. And I went to bed, and I woke up this morning with all kinds of new epiphanies about water. And then I knew exactly why I wasn't allowed to sort of make it yesterday. So we'll see if I can make it through today. Essentially, what I want to do today is I want to tell you about a bunch of things about water, some of which I have connected very clearly. I sort of look at it like a connect the dots puzzle. You know how there's all these dots there, and it usually gives you numbers, right, and ways to go and how you connect them. And what I would say is that I have some things, some of them are clearly connected, some of them not so clearly connected. And what I'd like to do is present you with these facts or ideas about water and this information. And I'd like maybe you to connect some of the dots, or maybe you have information, even more information about water that you want to add in the comments section, because boy, did I find out that it is, you can study water seriously. Qualities of water, sacred water, all kinds of aspects about things water can do, and ways that water has served as a metaphor or been a symbol for things throughout history. It's such a large topic that there's no way I could tackle it in a bite-sized video. And that's why I've picked out some of what I find the most fascinating thoughts, ideas, and information about water that I would like to share with you for you to consider. So here we go. The very first thing I want to say is that in my entire life, I always felt that why can't I sort of go with the flow and ease up? And, like yesterday, that came a lot. And it's the resistance I've always felt, the resistance to the natural flow. And we call that energy. But then I was realizing something yesterday as I was doing my studies. So about 71% of the earth is covered in water. In fact, all life on earth came from water. In fact, you and I are about 66% water. Our brains are 70% water. And we spent the first 9 months developing inside of our mothers in water. We know that sound travels through water, right? Pregnant mothers talk to their babies. We even know that a mother's stress can transmit to the baby. And I think now that I've learned a lot about water, that can be through the water, because water actually has memory. So here's another crazy thing to consider. Basically, almost all the water that has ever existed on the earth still exists on the earth. So we are mostly water. When we die, we dehydrate. The water that was in us is now in the earth. And we are actually constantly recycling water through us all the time, right? It comes out of our bodies as perspiration. It comes out, actually, we exhale. Every day we lose a little more than a cup of water when we just exhale it. So we are actually part of the water cycle just with our breathing and our perspiration. And that made me think about how we exchange water with our loved ones, like our beloved, right? When we kiss. And I won't go into other details, but we're perspiring together. We are connecting through the water, really, the liquid in us. It also fascinates me that a person can live, about a month without food, but will die within about a week without water. And people dehydrate all the time. And it's one of the things that we have to remember, like if we get sick with the flu, that people will die of dehydration. It turns out that 80% of all illness is in developing countries is water related. And that unsafe water kills 200 children every hour. I'll put all of this, where I got this information, in the comment section. I'll put links there so you can check it out. There were a lot more fascinating facts about water, but these stood out to me. So I was thinking about the information that had come to me yesterday about a man who was a scientist. And I think I've mentioned him on the channel before, but one of my subscribers sent me a link to a video. And oh my goodness, I have the woman's name somewhere, but I think I've set it aside now. No, it's right here. So Amanda Ellis was channeling Dr. Masaru Emoto, and he wrote these books. This is The Hidden Messages in Water, and this one is The True Power of Water. Now, if you've ever seen the movie What the Bleep Do We Know, it mentions his work and was talking about some of the concepts in his work. And it's very much related to thoughts and words, messages that we have heard in our life, and how the water in us picks up that message and holds on to it. So Dr. Masaru Emoto did amazing studies with water. What he did was he took water and then from the same source, and then he exposed it to various stimuli. And so he started by exposing it to words. So words like, I love you, or you fool, or faith, trust, hope. These were the words that he used. And then he also did for negative comments. I hate you. I wish you were dead. I could kill you, things like that. And what he discovered was that even though the water came from the same source, once it was exposed to these stimuli, the water molecules changed. The water molecules that were exposed to beautiful words, positive words, were fine. They looked beautiful. They looked like what we would expect. So here's a picture of the first one on top is you're cute. Let's see if I can make it really. That's you're cute. All this is available, by the way, online. You can look these up, and it's fascinating to do. And then the one on the bottom here is you fool. You fool. So he also eventually was exposing the water to pictures. So like pictures of dolphins, pictures of people like Adolf Hitler, pictures of like Mother Teresa, and doing the same thing, freezing these molecules and then looking at them through a very, very high-powered microscope. Okay. He eventually did a test where he took water that was polluted water or contaminated water, and he had priests or holy men, monks, pray over the water and looked at the difference before and after. So he looked at the water molecules before they prayed and then after they prayed, and showed the difference of that. And again, all of this is available. His name is Masaru Emoto. And it's really, let's see if that's clear. That's clear. And you can go online. He has something that I'm pretty sure is called the Hato, H-A-T-O Institute. He was very interested in peace, how to spread peace. And he was connecting that this information, this insight he had about water was crucial. So there is a little experiment that you can do, and I very much recommend that if you have children at home, you can do this with your children. Some of you may have heard about it, and I'm going to tell you really fast. Now, I set the experiment up yesterday as I was doing the video, so now it's already set up. You're going to have to trust me. I promise you, I'm not making this up. What you do is you take some rice. It needs to be, rice from your dinner, but that doesn't have food on it, obviously. But it can be leftover rice, and it doesn't have to be a lot. A tablespoon or two. You're going to need 3 jars or containers, and I try to make them the same or as similar as I can. And you're going to put the rice in, and you're going to label one with a positive word like love. And you can see it's been hot here, so there's condensation on this particular jar. Well, it's on all the jars. You're going to label one with a negative word. I did fear, but you could write, I love you and I hate you. Or I did love and fear. You could do love and hate. And then I do 3. So you're going to find this online as well. You can find many YouTube videos. If you look The Rice Experiment, you're going to find it. I do a third one. Some people only do two, but I do a third. And the reason I do a third is for control. So I've done this with my students. I did it with high school students and middle school students. And I'll tell you what, it wasn't the student, well, the students were fascinated. Everybody who does this is fascinated. But the teachers were, and the office staff, the adults were blown away, because until you see it and experience it, you just don't think it's possible. I mean, logic tells us that if you put rice in 3 containers and you put it in at the same time and you close them all up and you just expose them to the exact same, circumstances, right? In terms of temperature and placement, light, all that stuff, then they should rot at the same time. But that's not what happens. So I'm going to encourage you to do this. And explore it for yourself. What you're going to do, you could just leave the labels just as they are and do nothing else, and it should work. But if you want to do something with your kids that I think helps illustrate the power of words and the toxicity of words, then talk to the rice. So you pick it up every day and you say to the one marked love, or the positive word rice, you say loving things. I love you. You're beautiful. You're so white and fluffy. I want to say thank you for being a part of my food, for making me feel sustenance. You're just really a beautiful part of the world, and I thank you. And then you do with the one that's got the negative word on it, you say a bunch of bad things. And by the way, kids love this. So you say things like, you suck, I hate you, you're ugly, you're a loser, you're unworthy, that kind of stuff. And then again, this one gets ignored completely. You're not even going to pick it up. You just leave it alone. What's interesting is that, and why you want this one in part, is because this one will end up showing you what happens when people get no attention at all. And it will really illustrate why children or people will seek negative attention rather than no attention, and how we as human beings need we need belonging, we need attention. And the worst thing for a human being is not to be made a pariah or said bad things about. It's to be completely ignored. When you are ostracized or ignored, that's the worst thing. And babies are, they've done studies with children in orphanages that don't get attention or affection. They don't get picked up, and they have what's called failure to thrive. They will develop an attachment disorder. And so that's really made obvious by what happens to this rice. So basically it takes a week or so to begin to see changes. And then over time, I think mine, actually, we did it in September, and believe it or not, we still had the rice in June in the same jars, just like this. And amazingly, even though it was totally disgusting, like I didn't even take them out of the jar, they just went into the garbage. Don't judge me. This rice, the one that got no attention, was just absolutely slimy and disgusting. It was the worst looking. The one that got negative attention was, pretty disgusting too, but it was very different. And then, believe it or not, the rice that was positive, that had gotten the positive attention, was maintaining its relative integrity in terms of color. I mean, it was still disgusting. We wouldn't have eaten it, obviously, but it's just interesting to see how that impacts. Now, the reason why you can do this, or I've seen people do it with apple slices too, so the same apple cut into pieces, put in a jar. You can try that as well. So the reason this works is that the rice has absorbed the water. And so we don't have the capacity, because we don't have these high-powered microscopes to show what Emoto did, but we can see a similar impact on the rice through the way that the rice rots differently, okay? So I recommend, especially if you have children, doing that, because then it makes it super easy to explain that we're all like rice. And it's not just the negative words, like you can set an expectation that we don't put people down in this house because we're all like rice. We need to protect each other's rice. But also to talk about the negative messages we give ourselves, not telling ourselves bad things all the time, because then we're feeding the messages to our own sort of jar of rice. We're toxifying ourselves. So I then was thinking about how when they go to other planets, when they're looking for sign of life or that things could live, they're looking for water. And I found this amazing, where'd it go? Sacred sites. Oh my goodness, I lost it. I found this information that NASA discovered the largest body of water, but it's not on Earth. It's actually outside of a black hole in space. And they discovered this, I think it was 2011. Again, I'll put the link. So evidently this black hole is pulling in matter, but it's spewing out water. And this water, this body of water that's being spewed out of this black hole, is enough for every person on Earth to get the 20,000 times, every person, 20,000 times the amount of water on Earth per person. It's like trillions more than what we have on Earth. So it's amazing. And I was thinking about the things that I've been learning in terms of vibration and energy here through the twin flame journey. And I don't understand it all. I wish I understood it all. I mean, when people like Aluna Ash talk, I feel like I'm lucky to get about 20% of what she says. Like, I think she's brilliant. I love it, but I really honestly don't understand it all. But I do know that I believe my intuitive sense is that water plays a huge part in this. And even as you're listening to me now, or we listen to people, your body is impacted by that, in part because of the vibration of that thought, that word, those things. And I know that words have frequency. Because water, it's thought that water can carry memory. Now, if that's true, that water can carry memory, and water's been here since the beginning of time, we know that we're polluting water. So the question is, can we mindfully impact water positively? Well, it turns out that a lot of people, if what Masaru Emoto did was true and accurate, I happen to believe it is. Although there are scientists who dispute the whole thing, just saying. But I think they're working in a different paradigm. If that's true, then we can impact water thoughtfully. And that made me realize that water rituals, sacred water has been sacred since the beginning of time. I pulled up an article that says that most ancient cultures maintain spiritual creation stories crediting water as the origin of life. Healing water rituals have existed in all cultures since recorded time and are thought to have existed in prehistoric cultures for millions of years. So there's a common human connection through water. And if it can be sacred, and if we can pray over it and impact it, then it's not just that we need to clean up water in terms of taking out the toxins that are in it, but we can actually impact it with our thoughts and words and intentions. That made me look up sacred sites of water and all the different bodies of water that have been considered sacred. You know, water is considered to be healing, that you can heal with water. People are baptized in water. They use water that's blessed by priests or whatever to fight against evil spirits. What else? Water, some of the sites that were mentioned in this article that I read, again, I'll link it. That is in here. Sacred water sites around the world. And it talks about many of them, like the sacred cenotes in the Yucatan, well, where the Mayan sites were, so on the Yucatan and elsewhere. It mentions the Ganges River, of course. They're considered entrances to the spirit world in many different cultures. It says, in Celtic mythology, the well of wisdom is in the very center of the other world. Pilgrims drink the water in a cup that is fashioned from the skull of a severed head to establish a link with the dead of the other world. There's holy wells, people, if you think about purifying baths, people go to steam baths to purify themselves. Oh my gosh, it's endless. And my head just was sort of exploding with all of this. I felt like what I was getting was one dot over here and one dot over here and one dot over here, and they're all connecting. And I was thinking about, I personally was learned a certain kind of modality that's known as vibrational sound therapy, VST. So you can look that up, where it's the frequency of of Himalayan singing bowls, and then you place them on the body and you play the sound, and that impacts the brain, which, remember, is 70% water, right? Your brain is. And then I was thinking, well, that's got to have something to do with how it's not just the pathways between our neurons, but there must be something that the water does in there, right? That helps that. But I'm not a brain scientist, so sorry. Brain scientists speak up. And then how the vibrations of this really relax your body and help the healing, because it's very, very calming. And again, that led me back to, all kinds of modalities that use water in healing, like the flotation tanks, where essentially you're immersed in water that's the exact same temperature as your body, so you cease to feel really your body, which means your brain can do this great lucid dreaming and have experiences that are very different than you can in your waking normal state. One of the pieces that I pulled up, I was looking for water rituals, and it mentions, an offering ceremony, it mentions immersion healing in water, like when you go to water, you can do it with your clothes on or, off. And personally, when I did my Reiki attunement, I had this vision, and water figures prominently for me when I'm doing Reiki healing, and the visions that just come to me naturally. A lot of that had to do with this light, the light being like a waterfall. And that led me to being in my mind, if you will, being immersed in a waterfall, first being in a very clear pool of water, and then being immersed under a waterfall, and this cleansing experience of the water flowing over my body. I was thinking about how when we are meditating, the sounds that are often come in meditation tracks that people find the most soothing: rain, a running river, waves, comes back to water. I was also thinking about this beautiful quote that was told to me in an astrological reading that I had. Like, my whole chart was done. It was very comprehensive. And the man was talking to me about how when a Buddhist saying, and it goes something like this: there is no fear once the wave realizes it is the ocean or is a part of the ocean. Which made me think back again about this journey, and to realize that I've always thought about it as a journey through a a jungle or something, cutting away stuff that was growing in front of me and trying to find this path or forge this path up some hill. And then it was just struck me. Well, maybe it is like that, but what if it's like a river and I'm a molecule of water? And I don't know I'm a molecule of water. And so when I hit the rapids, I get scared and I want to cling or fight. And I don't recognize that I'm buoyant, that I am a part of the river, and that I am flowing back to source, the ocean. And the connection that all of us have because we are connected through water, that every bit of water that's ever existed is still here, and that all the collective memory may somehow be accessible through that. So these are all thoughts, and you can see that they're kind of random, like the dots on a connect the dot. And there's so much more. I don't even think I've halfway touched really all the things I thought about. I made a big list. I read all the information, but I'm wondering if I read all the notes that I put down. Oh, here it is. Okay. Okay, so the path of least resistance, instead of when we fight things, and stuff comes up in our way, which is how I felt about yesterday, that I kept coming back to, oh, well, this is happening now, so now I'm just going to go with flow. I thought about what makes us feel like we're drowning is the resistance, that we're all naturally buoyant. Oh, well, I was thinking about how water is supposed to be emotions, right? In the tarot deck. And water symbolizes emotions in dreams. And then I was realizing that we are the cups. We are literally the vessels that are holding the water. And I thought that was kind of cool to think about it like that. And I was thinking about how important it is to drink good, clean water every day. And once you know that the messages on the water can impact the water, a lot of people are now labeling their water. I write on the outside of my jug. I don't have it here, but I write, this water is love, thank you, water. This water brings blessings, stuff like that. I'll just take out a Sharpie and put it on the outside and put it in the fridge. And then, anyway, I have a pitcher that is a filtered pitcher, but then sometimes I buy the purified water. The other thing is that once you know that, to have a ritual in the morning or a time when you're drinking water, just to take a second and recognize when you're drinking it, that it's so important to your life, and to thank it. You don't have to do it out loud, but you can sort of say, thank you, water. I appreciate you for your life, for my life. I was thinking about all the cultures that don't get enough water, and how they have so much of the culture then is dedicated to ceremonies to bring rain, and how precious rain is. I was thinking about how maybe there are ways to use an intention in water when we're trying to cleanse ourselves of our own toxic thoughts or labels or things that we've ingested in our life. That if we could visualize the water, this is just an exercise that I made up. So if it exists somewhere, that's even more awesome. But I was thinking, same way we would wash away or clean clothes, or if we got muddy on the outside, we might take the hose and hose ourselves down and wash things away. Well, why couldn't we set the intention when we're drinking water to wash away those sort of emotional, toxic things that we're holding on to. If we could just bless our water every time we drank it, and as we're drinking it, become mindful and say, I'm washing away the toxic debris that I've taken in today. I'm washing away the negative messages that I was given as a child. And I'm making space for new life, new growth. Anyway, those are all thoughts I had. I'm going to take a sip of water now. Thank you, water. So I find that all very exciting. I would really, really recommend this woman, Amanda Ellis, channeling Masaru Emoto. Go watch that. I think it's about a half an hour long. Consider it kind of like homework or whatever. If you have not seen What the Bleep Do We Know, it's connected to The Secret. It's connected to Masaru Emoto's work. It stars Marlee Matlin, and it is an interesting combination of story, so like a regular movie, and then a documentary. So it has people in it that you're familiar with from The Secret and stuff like that, talking about the ideas behind it. So that's that. Do the experiment. Again, just rice in jars with labels, talking to the jars or just leaving the labels on. Do it yourself and see what happens. But make sure that you're keeping them all in the same place. And if you live in a toxic environment, I would suggest that you put them somewhere where they won't be exposed to a lot of negativity in the environment. So if there's somebody in your house who chronically yells, or if it's around the television and you're watching a lot of stuff about the news. And by the way, there's another thing. How I feel and how I felt right before the election with all the toxicity online. Oh my gosh. And I was at the height of my own personal illness, and with all the tension in the world and all the ugliness online, and it was toxic and it impacted me, and I knew it was coming into me. And I just wonder if that was resonating through my liquid, through the fluids, through my water. Anyway. Okay, I'm going to call in spirit, and I'm sorry if that was long, but man, it's fascinating to me. Add anything you know, anything I got wrong, correct. Anything you want to add, put it down in the comments section. Any other resources, anything else you know, or anything that it spurred inside of you. So, dear Spirit of the universe, of love and light, please be with us in this time and place as we focus our collective intention on gaining wisdom and guidance for our journey toward healing and self-mastery. We ask for open hearts and minds to receive the messages that will serve our highest and best good in the service of love in all forms. With deep gratitude, thank you. So, I got some beautiful cards today, but I'm not ready to break them in yet because I am still learning them and I don't want to fumble around yet. But suffice it to say that I broke them out on Instagram or IGTV, and they were gifts from Angela from Mystic Moon. They're beautiful cards. Oh my gosh, so beautiful. And I'll be using them soon. I am almost to 1,111 subscribers, and we all know that's a magic number. So when we get there, I want to do something special. So I'm thinking about what that's going to be. Also, join me, I think it's going to be Friday. I'm going to post a video about the use of essential oils, and I'm going to have an expert talking about how to use essential oils for your own wellness. And my friend who used to be on like 12 different medications and is now virtually on none. So her whole life is turned around. She credits it with how she's used essential oils and how they've assisted her. And then on another day, Thursday, I'm going to be working with a dream interpreter from Botswana, and she's going to be on. She's interpreted another subscriber's dream, and we're going to be talking about dreams and symbols and how she interprets. So I got good things coming, so stay tuned. Okay, Spirit, please give us one goddess energy that's with us today. One goddess energy. One more. There it goes. Tara, centering. And with all that blue on that card, she's on a lotus. And look, you guys, there's water there. The stillness of water. And I chose the symbol of the lotus for the channel because it does come out of the water and the mud. And it sort of is an excellent symbol of how we rise above our circumstances, that beautiful things come out of that. Anyway, I love how she's in the water. So peaceful. She's beautiful. Look at her. Let's see if I can get it close. Yeah, look at her. Tara. It's almost like my name, Lara. Okay, Tara. Centering. I sit with my attention focused on my breath, breathing in and out, inhaling and exhaling, taking in and letting go. The dance of creation, the dance of the universe, the dance of life. I sit in stillness, in focused awareness, breathing in and out as the ocean that is life churns and pulses around me, as oceans of incarnations swirl and twirl through me, beside me, all around me. My eyes see all, know all, and watch as I breathe, still, focused, aware, centered. Tara, who originated in India and whose name means star, is a major goddess in the Tibetan pantheon. She is known to help those who call upon her in tumultuous times of need, to steer a clear path, to find the stillness and strength within. She is also the goddess of self-mastery and mysticism. From the first tear of compassion, a lake was formed. From the middle of this lake, a lotus emerged. When it bloomed, Tara emerged. Although offered reincarnation in male form, she swore to be ever incarnated as a woman. Of course she did. Tara is here to remind you to center. It is time to nourish wholeness by going within and strengthening your center by focusing your awareness. Let the turmoil of life go on without you. It is hard to hear your own voice in the midst of the frenzy of life. Go into the quiet. Go into the calm. When you return, you will be stronger and more capable of dancing with what life has to offer. How cool is it that it talked about the ocean? And she said, I love this part. Here, I'm going to read it again. From the first tear of compassion, tears are water too. From the first tear of compassion, a lake was formed. From the middle of this lake, a lotus emerged. When it bloomed, Tara emerged. She came out of the lotus that was born of the tear of compassion that made the lake. And that just reminds me how compassion is the one thing that unites us all. I mean, we're all human. We understand that suffering. And when we connect on that level, you feel it. You can feel somebody else's compassion and understanding. You know when they're feeling with you. That's really beautiful. I know there's something deep there about water. I just don't quite know what it is. I think my brain is actually sort of short-circuited on all the information about water. I literally couldn't see how to put all the ideas together, but I know they're there. It's like a big puzzle that all the pieces haven't been fit yet. So help me put it together, would you? And then one healing card for us, please, Spirit. Just one healing card. This comes from the Carolyn Mace deck for healing, a daily practice. Carolyn Mace and Peter Occhiogrosso. Spirit, please give us one healing card for the day. Just one. Okay. The divine dwells within you and desires that you heal. And look where she is. Are you fully aware of that presence? Call upon the power of the divine to awaken its healing force within you. Be grateful for this miracle. And another one fell out, and it has snow on it. And that reminds me that water is the only substance. Is that what they call it? Matter, state of matter? What did they call it? I put that in here too somewhere. It says water is the only substance on earth that is present in all three states of matter, as a solid, liquid, or gas. So solid, snow, and then thinking about the snowflakes being those beautiful, it's more than one, obviously, molecule, but when we see a snowflake, it looks a lot like what those pictures that Masaru Emoto made. And it says here, hope is nature's way of enabling us to survive so that we can discover nature itself. On the back it says, for this day, acknowledge the restoring power of hope. Direct that power to bless all that needs healing in your life, including your negative attitudes and disappointments. God, that's beautiful. Water, ocean. Water as snow, hope, and healing negative attitudes and disappointments. And this talks about calling the divine to awaken its healing force within you. And Tara, all about being centered and still so that you have the regeneration. I love the way it all works together. It makes me want to go sit down with a beautiful glass of water, bless my water, sit still for a while, listen to a meditation with rain falling or a river flowing, or maybe go sit by a river. A friend of mine has a beautiful place called Zen River Retreat, and it's right on a beautiful river, and his water comes from the well, and that water is so, it just has a taste that's so beautiful. I don't know, it tastes better than other water, just saying. So, a good affirmation for the day. Today, I restore the power of hope. Today, I bless all that needs healing in my life. Today, I ask the divine to awaken the healing force within you. Today, I am grateful for the miracle of healing through water in my life. Today, I give gratitude to water for being the source of all life, for its many blessings in my life. When you're going to sleep tonight, you could probably write, 100 things that water brings as a blessing. From plants and keeping flowers alive to the crops to... And here's another thing. It's mentioned compassion, right? The tier of compassion. And I'm thinking about how 200 children die every hour from polluted water. And I'm thinking about all the people in the world that don't have water. And I'm thinking that it might be an amazing show of gratitude today to make a donation to a charity that is working to bring clean water to people, or to help them in places where they have to walk. And usually the people who do that work are the girls and the young girls. They carry 5-gallon buckets of water, sometimes 2 of them. I don't know how. They're just these young girls, and they walk miles and miles and miles to bring water back for the day to their family, and that's their job. And if they even have a bicycle, it makes it so much easier. There's so many people who are struggling just for water, something we really take for granted. Or to fight, maybe today you write a letter to fight the legislation for, companies like Nestle who are buying up water rights in our national parks and bottling water and selling it back to us. So they buy up these rights really cheaply, bottle the water, and then we go out and buy it. And then it's in plastic, and then we throw that in the oceans. Okay, I won't get started. But I'm just thinking there's a lot of ways to be grateful for water and a lot of ways that we can show gratitude. And hey, making a donation to a cause that is working to clean water or working to bring water to people in the world, that would be a beautiful energy exchange today. So thank you for coming. Thank you for showing up. Water, 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 water. Drink it, bless it. Have a good day.